Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about quitting sugar and losing weight for good. Now, I credit getting rid of processed sugar from my diet with my weight loss success, and I call it clutch because it absolutely was. I was eating so much sugar at the time that I started my weight loss journey. I was eating it daily, sometimes multiple times a day. And we're talking about the processed sugar. Some people call it refined sugar, but cakes, candies, pies, ice cream, you name it. And I was almost in this rhythm where I had to have it. Like there was no question about whether or not I was going to have something sweet for the day. And what I didn't realize is that that sugar was causing so many issues that when I finally decided to get rid of the sugar out of my diet, even in just the first 30 days, I could tell a big difference. I had only lost about 9 pounds, but to see my before and after photo, you would think I had lost so much more. But what happened was once I let go of that sugar, the inflammation that it was causing in my body started to subside. And so my physical transformation, even though I had only lost about 9 pounds, my physical transformation was that much more simply because I let go of the sugar. Now, some of the things that led me to believe that I was just simply eating too much sugar, and this is what made me decide to cut sugar out completely, was first of all, I was gaining weight. I was gaining weight around my midsection. I was gaining weight in my face. I was just, everything that I ate just seemed to stick as fat. And then I'll take that one step further and say that when I decided, okay, it's time to do something different, I was doing cardio, I was strength training, I was eating what I thought was somewhat healthy, and the weight never seemed to go anywhere. Like I wasn't able to lose weight. And it was simply because I was eating all of that sugar. My body just could not process it fast enough. So it was simply storing it as fat. And so everything that I was eating was just being stored as fat. Even though I was, could have been in a caloric deficit, the fact that I still didn't cut the processed sugar out of my diet just simply meant I was doing a whole lot of work for nothing, because my body was just like, I can't keep up. And I just wasn't losing weight at all. Another thing that I noticed was that I just had decreased energy. Like I was always tired. I seemed to always be dragging all the time. Now I would get up and I would exercise regularly. I would work an 8-hour day, but beyond that, I was just really unmotivated to do a whole lot of anything else. Pursuing personal goals and pursuing professional goals and things like that. I was just always tired, mentally tired, physically tired. And what I learned is that that was a symptom of eating too much sugar. Another thing that was happening with me was that I was always snacking. I was just constantly putting my hands in my mouth and putting food in my mouth, constantly snacking. I could have a snack in my hand and I would be standing in the pantry looking for my next snack. That's how bad it had gotten. I was just constantly eating. And it was because my body was telling me, you need some nutrients, you need some real food. And instead of feeding my body the real food, I just kept feeding it sugar. And so my body was like, no, that's not what I want. I want something else. But then I would feed it more sugar. And so that was another sign to me that, hey, this has gotten way out of hand. And lastly, kind of that goes hand in hand with that, is that I was just craving more sugar. The more sugar I ate, the more sugar I craved. So it went from having an occasional sweet treat to now I gotta have a treat every day. I gotta have that sugar every day. Oh, I didn't have any sugar today. Let me go eat some sugar. Like it was this thing that it just kind of, like I said, it kind of snowballed and kind of got out of hand, where because I was eating so much sugar, my body then just said, okay, well then let's just eat more sugar. And so I was just, constantly after that next sugar hit. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is this really doing to my body? Some of the things that I decided to do in order to quit sugar, which helped me to finally lose the weight for good, was, like I said, I eliminated the processed sugar out of my diet. I went cold turkey. Now, I started the 75 Hard Challenge, and under the 75 Hard Challenge, you have to follow a diet with no alcohol and no cheat meals. So for me, my cheat meal would have been eating processed food, eating processed sugar. And so I just cut sugar completely out, went cold turkey from day one. When I started the challenge, that was the end of processed sugar for me. Now, I did still eat natural sugars, things that where sugar occurs naturally in the food. So think fruits. I still ate a lot of fruit. I did not cut fruit out of my diet. I also had some hidden sugars, and hidden sugars are those sugars in foods that you wouldn't typically suspect would have sugars in them. And also, I would still go out to eat. I was counting macros as part of my diet on that challenge so that I would have the flexibility. And so I would continue to go out to eat. And you never know how people prepare their food in these restaurants. And so I was still eating some hidden sugar in those foods. Now, I wasn't like pulling out nutrition labels and asking for nutrition facts and all of that. If I was eating something that had sugar in it, and again, I made very healthy food choices when I went out to eat. Like, I wasn't intentionally eating things that had sugar in them, but if I was eating like a, chicken with vegetables, and that vegetables was prepared with, some sugar, then I was still having that. And so I was actually still eating some sugar, but I was very mindful about the things that I was eating to be sure that I wasn't eating nowhere near as much sugar as I was eating before. Another thing that I was doing that kind of went hand in hand with that is I was tracking what I was eating. So while I had completely cut out processed sugar, the little bit of sugar that I was actually getting in every day, I was actually tracking that using MyFitnessPal. And so as I was counting my macros, I was also tracking my sugar levels. And MyFitnessPal, if you enter your goals into the tracker, like your protein, your carbs, your fat goals, it will give you a daily limit of some other nutrients as well. And so it gave me a limit for sugar every day. And because I was tracking everything that I was eating, I was able to monitor those natural sugars and those hidden sugars. And I was able to further eliminate things from my diet. You wouldn't believe how much sugar a banana has in it. It's a naturally occurring sugar, but you wouldn't believe how much sugar a banana has in it. And so I got to the point where eventually I did stop eating bananas because it had so much sugar. But because I was tracking my food in MyFitnessPal, I was able to determine that, and I cut it out of my diet, and that's less sugar that I was actually eating. Another thing that I did was I increased my protein. And now, one of the reasons why protein is so important is because it keeps you fuller longer. And so when, I eliminated the processed sugar and I am increasing my protein, so now I'm fuller longer, I'm not hungry, I'm not giving in to constant hunger cues, because now I'm feeding my body the nutrients that it actually needs. And so I went with a moderate to high protein diet. I used the TDEE calculator to tell me how many grams of protein that I needed every day. And again, I was tracking, everything that I ate in MyFitnessPal to be sure that I was hitting those protein goals every day. So combining that high protein diet with eliminating the processed sugar really helped to curb those cravings. I wasn't overeating, and I was able to stay in a caloric deficit so that I could finally lose the weight. Another thing that I did was I started to drink more water. On the 75 Hard Challenge, you're required to drink a gallon of water per day. It is excessive, but I did it because I wanted to finish the challenge. But what I found is that you need water to flush the sugar out of your body. So what I was doing before was I was eating all of this sugar and I wasn't taking in nearly as much water. So my body didn't even have an opportunity to flush the sugar out of my body. Again, it was just simply storing it as fat. I was getting the blood spikes, the blood sugar spikes, and then beyond that, it was just storing it as fat because my body just couldn't keep up with processing it. And so once I started drinking that gallon of water per day, and now I've cut out the processed sugar, I'm only taking in very, limited sugar, the natural sugars, the hidden sugars, but I'm drinking all this water and I'm able to help my body process the sugar and flush out the sugar that I'm actually eating. And so being hydrated, staying hydrated throughout that process really did make a big difference. And again, it just really helped with that inflammation. And inflammation is just simply swelling, right? The swelling in my body. And so that really started to subside because I was, again, hydrated and I was flushing out the sugar with the water. Finally, I just simply had to start playing some mind games with myself. One of the things that I had to do was to disassociate foods and places, foods and events, foods and people, to be quite honest. So, there were, certain places that I would go, certain things that I would do that would trigger me to want a specific type of food. And a lot of times it came with sugar. And so, like, I'll give you an example. CVS carries the Reese's peanut butter eggs, and sometimes they're eggs and sometimes they're hearts and sometimes they're Christmas trees, but they carry them all season because they're different every season. And so every time I went into CVS, I felt the need to buy 2 of these peanut butter eggs and eat them. And it was almost automatic. Like, I was doing it so much that I didn't even have to think about it. And so when I started my journey, I just simply had to stop going into CVS for a while. But, at the time, my mind was just, it just felt like I was doing it automatically without even thinking about it. So I just stopped going into CVS completely as I started my weight loss journey. Another thing was I had to kind of tell myself, it's a delay and not a deny. I'm not denying you of the sugar. We're just going to delay it for a while. I was like, girl, if you really want those peanut butter eggs on day 76, once the challenge is over, get the peanut butter eggs on day 76. Like, Reese's is not going to go out of business in the next 75 days. Those peanut butter eggs will be there on the 76th day if you really want them. And I had to tell myself that, like, in the beginning of my journey, because it was kind of like, well, if I tell myself no, now I really want it, and and it was like this whole mind struggle. But I turned it into a delay and not a deny, and that seemed to work a little bit better. Now, I will tell you that there were some times where I just simply had to say no. Girl, no. I would go into the grocery store sometimes and just automatically go down the cookie candy aisle, right? And I just, I would walk up, oh, look, the cookies are on sale and they're on sale. Well, I gotta buy, girl, no. And I just had to walk away. And so I had to play, I call them mental gymnastics, but I had to play these mind games with myself, especially in the beginning of my journey, simply because, I had conditioned myself and conditioned my mind to do these things automatically. And I had to recondition myself to be like, no, you don't need it. You don't need this. I had a tub of trail mix in the trunk of my car. And I remember I started my weight loss journey and I knew this trail mix was in the trunk of the car. And so I had gotten into my journey maybe for 4 or 5 weeks or something like that. I was going through the 75 hard challenge, and my husband opens the trunk and he's like, do you know you have trail mix in the trunk of your car? You want me to take it out? And I was like, no, leave it there. Like, I am telling myself, I know the trail mix is there, and I am telling myself I don't need it. I'm proving to myself I don't have to have it. I'm proving to myself that if I want that trail mix on day 76, it will be there. It's not going anywhere. And sure enough, I finished the challenge and the trail mix was still there. And of course, I ended up throwing the trail mix away. But to me, it was conquering that feeling, that food noise. People call it food noise. That voice in your head that tells you have to have it because it's there. And I was able to conquer that and overcome that and just simply say, no, I don't have to have it. And that trail mix, staying in the trunk of my car to the very end and then me throwing it away was proof that I did not have to have it. Now, once I started putting these things into place, I will tell you that my cravings went away. My constant need to snack went away. I wasn't craving food as much because I was eating healthier. I was eating better food, and I was not eating all the sugar that I was eating before that was making me continue to crave and continue to eat more food, because I'm now eating the foods that I need to eat, the protein. I'm getting, more vitamins and minerals and things like that, and not just simply filling myself with empty calories, empty sugar calories. Another thing was that I was generally less hungry. So, the cravings are gone. I don't have hunger cues the way I did before. When I have hunger cues now, it's because I am hungry. I need to eat something. But now I know that I don't need to eat the sugar. I need to eat foods that have nutrients in it that are good for my body. And if I continue to do that and I continue to leave the sugar alone, then those hunger cues are true hunger cues, and they're not my body's signal to eat more sugar. Another thing that happened, again, I lost the water weight, and I lost the fat as well. That inflammation started to subside, and that swelling started to go down almost immediately when I cut out the sugar, and my body was finally able to process the sugar that I was intaking, the little sugar that I was intaking, and then it was also able to now start to burn off the fat that I had stored, because before, I was eating all this sugar and my body was just simply storing it as fat. I was finally able to start to release the weight. And it's interesting because right before I started the 75 Hard Challenge, I went to the doctor and I was talking to her about my acid reflux. And she said, well, your acid reflux will subside. It'll go away if you lose the weight. And what I found was that she was absolutely right. Once I cut out that sugar and my body started to release the weight, my acid reflux resolved itself almost immediately, almost to the point where I could then pinpoint the foods that would trigger the acid reflux. Remember, I said that I stopped eating bananas at some point because I just realized how much sugar was in bananas. I had eaten a banana soon after I started my weight loss journey, and I had cut out all this processed sugar. I ate a banana and I immediately had a bout of acid reflux. And I'm like, well, I hadn't had, any episodes of acid reflux lately, and I eat this banana and now I'm having acid reflux. And, I just decided to cut bananas out at that point. Even though it was a naturally occurring sugar, I'm like, it is still sugar. It is still, causing this inflammation. And now that I'm not eating sugar whatsoever, I could tell that it was full of sugar just simply by the way that it tasted, because I wasn't eating a whole lot of sugar. I will say I had a sugar addiction. That plain and simple, I was addicted to the sugar. So if you know that you're eating way too much sugar, or you feel that you are also addicted to sugar, I just highly encourage you to make some diet choices to reduce or eliminate that sugar from your diet. It does so much to our bodies and we don't even realize it almost until it's too late. It causes problems, diseases, medical complications. Just get rid of the sugar. Now, I'm the type of person where I couldn't do it gradually. I had to do it cold turkey. For me, I'm an all or nothing type person. And so I had to do it cold turkey. You might be able to just gradually reduce the sugar. So whatever method that you use, I just highly encourage you to, take those steps to do it today. You will see a big difference in your energy levels, in your ability to lose weight. I'm telling you, if you're on a weight loss journey and you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm just churning wheels here, like nothing is happening, I highly encourage you to take a look at the amount of sugar that you're eating. I almost promise you that is the culprit in your issues with weight loss. All right, so if you have any questions related to this topic, how I did it, if you are doing it yourself and you have any tips to share, leave them in the comments. I would love to continue this discussion because I think it's important. I think it's important that we know what some of the foods that we are eating actually does to our bodies. If you have enjoyed this video, take a moment and give it a thumbs up. That would help me out so very much. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please take a moment, hit the subscribe button. I would love to create more great content just like this, just for you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.